Hello everyone, this is Eye on Africa for Wednesday, December 15th. Here are the headlines. Will Jacob Zuma return to prison? South Africa's highest court orders the former president to be re-incarcerated after setting aside an earlier decision to release him on medical parole. Meanwhile, the country records close to 27,000 new COVID cases, an all-time record, as authorities struggle to vaccinate more people. And European football clubs say they may not release their African players to take part in the Africa Cup of Nations over fears surrounding the tournament's COVID-19 health protocol. We begin tonight in South Africa, where the country's High Court has ordered former President Jacob Zuma to return to jail. The 79-year-old began medical parole in September. He's serving a 15-month sentence for contempt of court after he ignored instructions to take part in a corruption inquiry. Let's bring in France 24's Nadine Theron, who joins us now from Cape Town. Nadine, good evening. This is now a back and forth between Zuma and the country's justice system. Is there an end in sight?
No end in sight yet, because within hours of the judgment being delivered, Zuma's team already filed appeals against the judgment, and so has the South African Department of Correctional Services, who is supposed to have incarcerated Zuma. They've also appealed against the judgment. So now we will have to wait to see what the Supreme Court of Appeal will say about this. And it seems Zuma will be spending a festive Christmas at home in Nkandla, where he has been sitting for the past 2 months, as the judge said in his judgment. And what was important about the judgment is that Judge Elias Matujane also said that the time Zuma was out of jail now, that he was out on medical parole, that shouldn't count as part of his sentence, and he should still serve the full rest of the 15 months that was left before he was wrongfully released on medical parole in September. And on the other hand, Zuma is still standing trial for the arms deal that dates back to 1999, where he also used his medical condition as a reason not to appear before court in October. But a judge then ruled that the trial should go ahead, and Zuma also appealed that decision. So there's no end in sight of Zuma's legal battles with the state. In the meantime, we know his foundation is actually struggling to pay his medical bills, and that might be why he recently released a book called Jacob Zuma Speaks, which has immediately sold out, and his spokesperson was seen selling it from a car boot at a McDonald's. So it seemed they are quite desperate to cover his legal fees.
Nadine, our viewers may remember that last July, when Zuma handed himself in to begin his sentence, that triggered riots that the country hadn't seen in many, many years. How have South Africans reacted to today's news?
Well, Zuma's supporters have already expressed their support and said that they will support him whatever happens. We don't expect them to do anything yet, since we all know that he has appealed the decision. But there has been releases and calls for calm already by the South African Human Rights Commission, and authorities are said to be on standby for potential backlash. Everyone just wants to avoid what happened in July, when about 300 people died, and we know what happened in July actually caused South African economy to contract.
Nadine Theron in Cape Town. Nadine, thank you very much. Meanwhile, the country has reported close to 27,000 new COVID infections this Wednesday. That is a new all-time record since the pandemic began. And despite authorities encouraging citizens to get their vaccines, only 38% of adults are fully vaccinated. As Laurent Berstechard explains, one of the reasons for this setback is the population's distrust of the vaccine and of its potential side effects.
After months of hesitation, Takalene Mulaudzi finally decided to take the plunge and get her first COVID-19 jab. A difficult decision for the 29-year-old who can barely afford the taxi to the vaccination center.
Oh, I don't have money right now. And it's 15 rand to go there, then 15 rand to come back.
As she waited for her jab, Mulaudzi was still mulling her decision over.
I was not ready, but still I'm not ready. Just that I have no choice. I have to be vaccinated right now.
With all South Africans now required to get jabbed in order to travel, Mulaudzi had to get the vaccine to go see her family for Christmas. But she still has her doubts over potential side effects, and she's far from alone. South Africans' hesitation to get jabbed has negatively impacted the country's vaccination drive, and despite having adequate supplies of vaccines, experts now doubt the government can reach its target of inoculating 67% of the population by February.
The target that I think we are going to be able to meet or be close to meeting is 40% of fully vaccinated adults by end of the year.
South Africa's health minister, who got his booster shot on Tuesday, urged the population to focus on the facts and get their jab. He also wished a speedy recovery to President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was still in self-isolation after contracting the virus last week.
Well, similar challenges in the Republic of Congo, but over there, the vaccination drive appears to be making some progress. Last October, the government introduced a health pass, which is now mandatory to access state buildings, banks, as well as public transportation. 10% of Congolese people are now fully vaccinated, which is much higher than in neighboring countries. Rosie Piot reports from Brazzaville with Clément Bonneau.
Marcel has come to pick up her health pass after getting vaccinated at this mobile clinic in Brazzaville. She says it was a tough decision to make.
I was very hesitant at first because I didn't have much information. Then I realised that it wasn't dangerous, so I thought, why not get vaccinated?
A health pass is now mandatory to access banks and state buildings in the Republic of Congo, but the measure has met resistance, especially among civil servants.
When
I look at the measures that have been taken, I feel angry. I feel like a hostage in my own country. If you want to keep working and to keep getting your salary, you need to be vaccinated. My whole family depends on me, so I had no other choice.
A health pass is also required to use public transport, and the number of passengers is limited to just one person per row. But many companies have been reluctant to carry out checks.
The measures don't work because one person per row just isn't sustainable. The government should allow us to have at least 2 people per row again.
In the face of a third wave of infections last October, the government has cracked down on vaccine hesitancy and tightened controls across the country. Authorities say their strategy has been successful.
We have vaccinated more people in 45 days than we did in the previous 7 months. But people still have a choice. If you don't want to be vaccinated, you can present a negative COVID test result to access public buildings, and that counts as a health pass.
According to official figures, 10% of the population is now fully vaccinated, compared to less than 5% in October.
French President Emmanuel Macron will be traveling to Mali on Monday. He will be meeting transitional leader Colonel Assimi Goïta for the first time. He was behind the August coup that ousted the country's elected president. The meeting will come at a tense time in relations between France and Mali. Macron will also pay a Christmas visit to French troops stationed in Gao, now one of the main regional bases following Tuesday's handover of the Timbuktu base to Malian forces. Europe's top football clubs are threatening not to release players set to take part in the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. In a statement, the European Club Association said the tournament lacked a suitable medical and operational COVID protocol. Clubs are worried that African players will get caught up in quarantine and testing issues. Claudia Nsono has more from Yaoundé.
The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has dismissed fresh claims that the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations will be cancelled. In a tweet posted on their official Twitter page just a few hours ago, CAF said that 24 teams will be participating in the Total Energies AFCON for the second consecutive time, adding that 24 days are left before the journey begins in Cameroon. Fears that AFCON 2021 might be cancelled following health and logistical concerns went viral on social media on Wednesday, and it followed a letter in which the European Club Association threatens to withhold African players during the 4-week period, citing rising cases in the new COVID-19 variant as their major concern. Lovers of African football have taken to Twitter to castigate the association for sparking a new scandal, which they say is aimed at foiling the competition. Professor Jacob Zuma is the National Health Coordinator for AFCON 2021 and says that the pandemic is under control.
In Cameroon, we have sequencing and genomic surveillance capabilities that allow us to detect the presence of this variant. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we have data today. Cameroon has passed the third wave and there are no more than 50 new cases per day. So we are truly in control of the pandemic.
With about 40 Premier League players invited to take part in the continental tournament slated to run from the 9th of January to the 6th of February, football pundits say that European clubs might lose first-team players during a very crucial period in the season. In the meantime, CAF is expected to grant a press conference on Thursday, during which it will announce the COVID-19 protocol for AFCON 2021.
An issue that will have to be resolved sometime in the next 3.5 weeks before the tournament start. That does it for this edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to France 24.
Reporters, exclusive insights, the stories that matter. Real people all around the world. France 24 international correspondents witness as it happens, where it happens, and they bring it to you.
Join me every week for a new edition of Reporters on France 24 and France24.com.